Alright, here's y'all a comparison video between the two machines and the two grapples. Just gonna kind of walk around, move the camera where you can kind of see before I start really talking and kind of going over things. I've got the blades pretty much sitting about even. You can see the length difference right there. On this machine, let's see, I think I've got, it's 19.9 hours on this thing. I didn't run it in yesterday. Ran it a good bit Sunday afternoon. So far I haven't had no leaks on it or anything. I've been kind of going over it, running it, getting a feel of it. And you know, obviously when you're looking straight out the front, like on that one, you know, on this one or any machine, it's pretty much about the same look, but you kind of got to get used to your peripheral type vision. Like you're seeing different things like out of your peripheral that you're catching, you know, that you're not used to from one to the other. Like, you know, obviously this one's got yellow paint on it, that one's got orange and black. And so you catch different visions like that when you're kind of turning your head and all that. And you kind of got to get used to that stuff like that. And that's with any different machine as you are running it and getting used to it. Much different size difference between the booms on these two things. Incredible size difference, actually. You can look at all this right here, where all this mounts. One thing about this one, on this main pin boss, that boss obviously goes all the way through, well, they're all going to go all the way through, but the boss runs the width of the boom because there's 3 grease fittings on this thing. There's one right here on the other side of this spacer. There's one in the middle and one on the other side over there. The machine is very well built. You don't have to look at it just a second to realize that. You can see the difference right there. Of course, 2 very different class machines too. I mean, you're looking at a 6-ton machine, and the class this one is a 8-ton, but the machine, like it's sitting right here, comes in at 20,600 pounds is what it comes in at. So when I put this grapple on there, it's going to add another 1,500 pounds to that. This grapple right here weighs 832 with the lugging. The lugging is this part right here, right there. This one, like I said, is 1,500, almost double what this one weighs. You can see the height difference between the grapple. A lot larger grapple size wise than this one. You can easily run this one on that machine. It would not affect it none. The rotator is rated for 25,000 pounds, and you're not going to hurt that thing with on a mini excavator at all. The Rotobec stuff is built so well. It's built like a tank So price, you're looking at, on this grapple here, you're looking at $20,000 with the lugging on it, roughly. They kind of vary a little bit depending on, you know, what metals costing and all that when you get it. And this one right here with a saw on it, it's going to come in with the lugging on it at about 40 grand is what that one's going to be. You can see, of course, this machine don't have the pin grab on it. You can see all this stuff here, cylinders, and then we'll look at this one over here. Of course, it has a pin grab on it, but a completely different animal. It's got the hook already on it, welded on it back there. So the cylinders on this thing are just like your real big machine excavator cylinders. Big rod guides on them. It's in the main boom cylinder. They put a coating on these things to protect them till you get them. A lot of difference. So one thing about this machine, I'm a stickler for calves and for comfort. Not just saying this because I've bought this and this is what I'm gonna run now. A lot of mini excavators you get on them, and I have in the past ones that I've run with calves on them, I almost felt like I've just sat inside of an aluminum can, just like you've almost got to twist yourself contortion wise to get in there, and there's just barely enough room for you and you only to get in there. I mean, not even enough room to like set even a water jug or anything inside of there. And this one right here, man, you've got some crazy room and the comfort on it. The cab on it's very roomy and very quiet. You've got storage up under here. This is an E switch, emergency stop switch if you need to use that for whatever reason. Door locks back. This is your unlock for your door. This is your safety right here. You also got another unlock right here. When you pull this back, this joystick will come up. So if you need that room to get in and out. The seat in this machine is a Grammer seat, heated seat, the exact same seat that Kevin and I both had in our John Deere machines in the woods. My John Deere 2154 loader and Kevin's 2554 processor. Exact same seat. Turn the heated seat on, it's right there on the switch on the back of it right there. The cubby right there, there's plenty of room for a Yeti water jug, even a whole gallon one to sit right there. You can adjust this seat every which way possible. You can adjust the seat independently of the joysticks. You can adjust the joysticks right here, the tilt on them by this right here. You got a sunglass holder right there. You want to put that in. You got a place for a small water jug to sit right there. There's storage behind the seat, back down in there. You got a cup holder right there, which I don't run around with a cup. Put a Yeti in here or something. And they told me they didn't know what that they had got this machine in as the first one they had that had that right there. They wasn't sure what that's for, if it's supposed to have a cover, but that's the way it came in, was like that. So you got on your joysticks, on both of them, you got proportional controls on both sides on here, and you got two buttons, and then you got a trigger and a trigger on both of them. On this one, on the Hyundais, this is where you switch your pattern control, your changer right there. You switch it right there. I got it in cat, that's what I run. You got eco mode on it. This button right here works it's a diverter. Right there is off, so if you flip it forward, it diverts the oil to your auxiliaries up there on the end of the stick. And then to flip it back, that diverts oil back to your angle on your blade. So you can, even if you've got it up here, you can still use your blade. You just cannot work the angle on it. So you switch it back right there. I wasn't sure if I was going to like that or not, but it has not bothered me at all. There's a, your float activate is right here. Hit that, pops up on the screen, and then you go all the way forward and puts the blade in float mode. You've got a travel high and low right there on a flush button. You can't even see it. That's the way these triggers are on the front. They're flush. So you can run your travel speed right here, high and low, and you've also got a travel right there too, high and low. Bluetooth radio is right over there under that. Your throttles right here. All your lights and everything is all right there. Your one-way hydraulic auxiliary for a hammer is right there. If you want to shut the regen down, which I do not recommend, there's that switch right there. All your heating and cooling stuff is right here. They put the lock and unlock for your pin grab right here. It's kind of a threefold kind of deal. They used to put it over there, but they've moved it over here now. So what you do is you hit this rocker, flip it forward. It goes into the mode, and then you have to hold this inside button down and either curl the bucket or pick up the boom. You got to kind of go up with it, and that unlocks the pin grab. So it's basically three things that you have to do. So there's really, if you drop a bucket off of it or something attaching off of it, it's because you wanted to drop it off of it. It won't be done by accident. You got to do all that stuff, and then once you take it off, if you take your hand off of this right here, then you have to go back and reset this back to off and then back to on to make it activate. So again, you can adjust the seat however. It's got vents in it everywhere. These two are speakers. Those are vents right there for the heating and cooling. And then you got a vent there, one down there for defrost. The air conditioner in it is crazy. It's got a dome light in it. Front window raises. Got a mirror here, a mirror there. It's got a little sunroof thing right here with a sun shield right there. You can pull out and connect right there. So this machine has what's called HiMate on it, H-I-M-A-T-E. And it's GPS. And it's communicating wirelessly back to Taylor and them. So one of the antennas up there is your AM FM antenna, and the other one is the HiMate antenna. And so they can see everything the machine is doing. They can see where the machine is sitting at. Everything on it is right there. Those two pigtails that are up there that are stubbed out, they got the plugs in them, nothing's on them. One is for a cab light, which I've got a bar over here, and I'm gonna put a bar on the front too. For whatever reason, they still hadn't changed these over to LEDs yet. I don't understand that, but they would be far better suited to go the LED route. But I am gonna take those two off on the front, put a bar up there. I'm gonna put a bar back here. The other plug is for a strobe. And I'm gonna put a strobe like I've got on top of my, I've got one magnetic mounted on top of on my Kubota. I'm gonna put one identical to it on this one, and I'll wire it in right there. Then I'll be able to cut the strobe on and off on it. It does have a camera on it. Right here's the camera right there. Side swing on the boom, it's right here. Flip this up, and I will also get the windows tinted. There's probably already been people mentioning that in the comments. Tint the windows. I'm not gonna get them dark. I'm gonna stay at about 30. I don't like dark windows. They're great if you got dark windows. They're great in the summer when it's bright out, but I run a lot when it's dark. Tint and darkness don't work very well. You just cannot see out of them. I mean, you just can't. It's hard to see out of them, and I don't want it to be hard to see out of. So I'm gonna keep it light on the tin, about 35%. That's all I want on that. See, those are incandescent up there. I'm gonna take those off. It's a perfect place to mount a bar. That panel right there, perfect place for that. I'll probably swap these out to LED. Also, it's got one on each side of the boom right there. So I have a bar there, and then I'll have 2 regular lights right there, and then 1 light bar on the back. Do that, get that done. I got 2 or 3 more stickers I'm gonna take off of them. I'm gonna get those on the insides of those windows right there, and that one at the top back window back there on the back. I'm gonna get it off also. So one thing to note, you are on this one, it's a bigger machine, you got an angle blade on it, so they have to move that far enough forward to where the blade angles to where you're not gonna, you got enough room to angle it so it doesn't get in your tracks. So you're sitting further back from the blade on this machine than you are on the Kubota over there. You're more sitting kind of on top of the blade over there on the Kubota. You can see I've got the boom kind of not all the way out on the Kubota, but I've kind of got it maybe at a 45. And I've got this one not 90, just a little bit of an angle to it. I'm actually hitting in the same place as where the grapple's landing. So with this one with the short stick on it, I obviously have more reach with this machine with the short stick than I do on a Kubota with the long stick. You can see the extra kind of weight. This one has a Yanmar engine in it. You can tell when you crank it up, it's a lot bigger engine, throatier engine than the one that's in the Kubota. So you're coming in on the tag up here on the front, it says 66.9 horsepower. Online it says 65 on this, is what it says on it. Of course, the Kubota has a Kubota. It's 48 horsepower. So when you open it, you can see a distinct difference. Servicing this thing is not bad at all. Pour your oil in right there. There's your oil filter right there. But you can see it's quite a bit more like compressed than this one is. And this is a load sensing pump system on it, hydraulic system on it too. You can really tell that on the machine. It's identical to the big excavators. I mean, there's really, other than it being small, it's the same stuff as in the large stuff. Simple to change the oil in this one too. Right there's the engine oil filter. There's where you're gonna pour it in at. These both are regen engines, so there's no def in either one of them. One thing that I do like about this one, it's got a battery isolator switch, so you can kill it's got a master power switch on it. All machines, equipment, tractors order to come with those on them, period, end of the story. Because you can, when you cut that off, the only place you got power then is at the battery, and that's it. The rest of the machine is dead. So this one has a 30-gallon fuel tank, and it's right here. It's got fuel gauge in there inside the cab on the display, but it's also got a glass here on it too. That way, while you're filling it up, you don't have to be up there looking down into it. You can, if you're not running an automatic shut-off nozzle, you can see the fuel when it pops up in a glass, and you know it's full. So 30 gallons. This one is 18 gallons. I can burn this thing out if I'm running hard in a 9-hour day. I can just about burn that 18 gallons out of this machine right here. Pressurized hydraulic tank on it right there. Your sight tube for the hydraulic, water separator. Here's your valve bank for your hydraulics. Here are your electric solenoids for your auxiliary stuff up there on your switches. Here's one of the switches on the joystick that's not being used. Obviously, there's several of them up there not being used. This is one of them right here. I'm not sure which one that is. I got to dig into it. Every one of them are labeled. Everything on the thing is labeled. See, like that's you're rotating on your auxiliary up there, your second auxiliary. So I will have to plumb in the return for the saw on the Rotobec, and also case drain, a return that goes back into the return filter. You got a return filter that's under this cover and a suction filter that's under this cover right there. The suction filter is just going to be a metal screen, and there's no need to ever change that on any machine or anything unless you contaminate it with some metal. Something goes apart, implodes, you know, on a motor or something in you know, in the hydraulic system. Then you'd replace this right here. You're going to replace it periodically. It's going to be a normal filter, because what the oil does, it comes back in here and dumps and goes right into that return filter right there, then into the tank, and then the suction pulls it back to the hydraulic pump, and then the hydraulic pump then sends it back up to right here, feeds all the valves right there. These are going to be all your pilot lines coming off your joysticks. That's what these are going to be. Right there. Very clean machine. You open it up. They have done a really nice job on that, and there's all your cooling stuff right there, radiator, all that. It also has a fuel heater on it for the fuel system. Heats the fuel up if it's cold, makes the fuel economy better. You can see much smaller valve bank on it. Hydraulic tank, you can see the oil right there. Of course, I don't have it set to where to check the oil correctly right there right now, but you can see everything on it. This is all your coolers over here. So you look at the booms there and over there on that one. I got to figure out a place to mount a fire extinguisher on that machine, because I will definitely put one on it. I just got to figure that out where I want to put it and get it on there. I can probably still do 90% of my work with this machine. There will be some yards that I work in I will definitely have to have that machine, because if people ask me, you know, you gonna sell it or what you gonna do? I'm not gonna sell it. I'm keeping that machine there. It just rolled over 2,000 hours the other day. It's 5 years old. Machine is in excellent condition. Not a dent in it nowhere. Not even the top of the blade has got a dent in it nowhere. I will be putting another hitch just like this one here on this blade too. Perfect condition. I need to take and scuff that counterweight again, put another coat of paint on it. I paint it about once a year. See this panel, no bends on it. Excellent condition. For the money, you can't beat the Kubota at all. Very good machines, served me well in the 5 years. I have made a lot of money with this machine. I had it roughly almost 2 years, and I paid this one off. Had I known the money that I could have made, I would have done something a lot different. But I didn't know. I mean, I was kind of, you know, I worked for Dad for all those years, 32 years full time, 38 years total with my dad. And you know, you don't know till you kind of get out and you do it. And I didn't know what I could make. Now I know, and what the potentials are there. And I would have bought a very different machine than what I bought right here. I had a guy last night in the comments ask me about the 306. He said, I thought you were going to get a 306. I come really close last year to getting a 306, but I kind of held off it because I wanted the lift. I wanted that spider lift. That was my goal last year, was a spider lift. And I'm glad I didn't get the 306, and because it would not have held this grapple. It would not have ran this grapple. It would have picked it up and everything, but the grapple would have been too much for it, and it would not have ran the saw too. You got to have the weight of this machine and the oil flow and the cooling to be able to run this grapple with the saw on it over here. So I'm glad I was held back, and things always work out for a reason, you know? And so it played out perfectly as far as that goes. There's one thing in the comments, and if you're still watching to this point right here, I'm sure this video, I'm not sure how long it is. It's over 30 minutes long, but it's well worth the 30 minutes. There's one thing in the comments, and I think it comes from a jealousy factor is where it roots from. And it's this right here. The guy says, and sometimes I'll hear this, man, Tim's got lots and lots of payments and all this. And they assume that when you get something that you got payments on it. And I wasn't going to say anything about this because some people take it the wrong way and they take it as bragging. And this is anything but bragging, because I have worked very, very hard to get where I'm at, and people have no idea. What you see in the videos, what I do, is a very, very small glimpse of what I actually do. And people have no idea what I generate day to day, week to week, or month to month. And again, I'm not bragging, but I am, since some will think that, or like he said that in the comments, I'm going to say it. When I went down there and I picked this machine up the other day, I paid for it. I don't owe a dime on this machine. Jill come down here and she looked at it the other day, and I got her to crawl up in it and sit in it, you know. And I told her, I said, I have worked so hard to get to this point. And kind of back up a little bit, my 5,500 out there, I paid for it when I went and got it, before I went and got it. It was paid for several months, sitting on a lot over there waiting on the bed to come in. My dump trailer, wrote a check for it. My trailer that I just got in December, I wrote a check for it. It's paid for. My chipper's paid for. I made 20 payments on that chipper and paid it off. Stump grinder is paid for. The only thing I owe a little bit of money on is that red lift. And that's it. So I do a lot to do that. And you know, my kids are grown. I've got good help, and Gabe that primarily helps me. And my little brother Kevin, it's been great him working with me, because he knows the deal. He knows how to run stuff and how to watch out for stuff. And I don't even have to tell him, he just knows. You know, he's got that sense, that operator sense about him, just like I do and Derek does or anything. And I'll say this too, I don't even have an operating line of credit. I don't even have a line of credit at the bank. Credit card balances are zero, man. That's how you make money. If you can stay out of debt and you're not paying that interest, and right now interest is high. If you got to borrow, say you got to borrow money on something like this, $100,000, well, your interest on it is going to be quite a lot every month. Like I said, I was not going to mention that, but it kind of chaps me a little bit when people assume things and they say things, they pop off in the comments. And so while they're sitting there worrying about what somebody else is doing, what they got, instead of putting their mind forward and trudging on and making something for themselves and getting it while they're trying to hammer somebody else, I'm sitting out there making money. One of the guys at Biddy's Saturday asked me, we were discussing things, and he said, do you have competition here? I said, oh yeah, got a lot of competition here. A lot of competition in the tree world. But I don't only do tree work. I do everything. I may be doing a tree job today, and be doing a water line tomorrow, or setting a culvert, or what. I do everything. If you look back through my videos, you'll see I do a little bit of everything. Y'all have a good day. We'll catch y'all later. Later, taters.